The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everybody. Good to be back in the saddle. Hello, Ash. How are you? Kevin, Ziggy, my brother. How are you? Everyone doing okay? Who either learned or earned? Who learned or earned this week? Give me a why. And all I could say is this: King Dollar, King Dollar. King Dollar is back on the throne, at least temporarily. Face was aware of it. Nicola Duke was looking for it. Steve Volge was looking for it. Before I left you on Wednesday, pre-Fed, my preferred short was a cable with stops over the high. That worked out. Still don't think it's a bottom, but I think that the euro might be the preferred short. So for about a week or so, when we were discussing the euro, and we were talking about a possible top pick, and I think it was off the daily, and I kept saying it's bothering me. It doesn't look complete that we've had two drives. Who remembers me saying it didn't look complete? We only had two drives. We needed one more to complete. So every time someone pulled up a euro chart, I said, it just doesn't look finished. It doesn't look balanced. Yeah, you know, maybe I only know how to trade one formation, although that's not true, but it happens to be one that I have a lot of conviction about, that I've taught hundreds of people to use. So here it is, guys. 1, 2, 3. Take a picture. Take a picture. That's your third drive. RSI was there. Maybe it looked a little more instead of just a spike here. It's also a stop hunt, right? They had to take out these people first. They've done so. My view is that it's not over yet. So I think the Dixie has 99 in it. Was a number I'd been talking about for a while. Nicola agreed with me. She has much higher targets for the dollar, 107. But I could see that happening. But I'll be happy with seeing the Dixie get back up to 99, 99 and a half. Where's the Dixie? I know you're hiding from me, Dixie. There you are. So I would buy pullbacks. I think we're headed back to maybe here, this low. Everyone see this low? If you can't, this would be a minimum target for me. This reactionary low. 98.50. Everyone see it? So that would imply that there's more left to the downside in euro. When you think about the euro, guys, you got to think about that we may be correcting a longer term move off the lows off from here. Here's your daily. Right, I mean, this was one heck of a move from 103.10. So 38% would be 4. That gives you 109. That's where I have a broadening megaphone or wedge line coming in. And also, it's simple arithmetic, right? Let's look at the 4. So if you can add and subtract, you could come up with targets. So basically, let's call it a 111 to 113 range. And we break down under this support. I call it about 1110. Subtract 200, gives you 109.10. So 109.10 is my target in the coming days and weeks. And then when you think about it, it's about 38% back of the huge move, and couldn't end up being a buying opportunity for dollar bears. So you don't have to agree with me. All you have to do is understand my analysis so you could execute and use some of my views in your own trading. Hi, Cyric, I'm doing okay. The show must go on. And so that's my view going into the weekend. I'm not a big Friday trader. I have the belief that almost anything you're going to do today, you're going to have a chance to do Sunday night or Monday. I'm going to leave that to David. I'm going to leave that to Steve Volge. Let's see who's here with me to back me up today.
Steve's not there, or he's kind of he's down for a second.
All right. Well, hi Blake. How are you, buddy?
Good.
Good to hear your voice, and
glad to have you back, Dale.
Thank you, buddy. It's good to be back, and I was telling the guys, Face, that and you guys might be able to relate to it, that in your work life, most of the time you have coworkers, and you may have a cup of coffee or go out and have a beer with them, but this is the first time in my life that my coworkers are also my friends. So it's a pretty special thing that we have here among the ForexAnalytix team. So, keep that image in your head. Maybe it'll happen to you one day, that the people that you're working with are also like your family.
Yeah, it really is. We try to keep a pretty tight environment between us. So.
Yeah, and plus, great ideas if you want to go to the material side of the equation. So last time I talked to you, Blake, I was saying, if I put a gun to your head to fade dollar weakness, I don't know what happened. I was kind of tuned out the market yesterday, but I'm very interested in knowing where your head's at after the last 48 hours.
Oh, well, I didn't. Maybe I did. Wait, hold on. Let me think about what I did the last 48 hours. Oh, okay. You know where my focus has been, Dale, is my focus had been on the Aussie New Zealand, and that was really
right.
And that trade worked out really well. It worked out, and I don't want to recap it because we talked about it yesterday.
Okay.
But it basically worked out the way that I had anticipated it was going to work out. We got a weaker New Zealand number.
Yeah.
We got a stronger Australian number, and that did exactly what I wanted it to do. It's kind of it's stalling here now above 105, and it's just kind of consolidating. So
yeah, we'll see. We get through 550, then some of your targets that you talked about above will manifest, and if we get no follow through and we just wash out here, that could happen too. So, that was a great low risk to find area. You gave the whole community a way to manage the risk from where you got long, and nothing wrong with 100 pips or more on a 50 pip risk, 3-to-1 R to R. Great trade, buddy.
Thanks. I appreciate it. It was I asked yesterday. There was a lot of listeners that were long the Aussie New Zealand, so that's good. A lot of people took advantage of that, and I'm still sitting. I actually have reacquired most of my position. That I sold most of it at like 105.30, I would say, on average.
Yeah. And
I sold some at 50. I sold some at 15. I sold some in the 30s. So I think my average that I got out of everything was like 105.30, a little higher than where it is right now.
It's a nice weekly candle. It's Friday, Blake. So what I teach is on Fridays, you're not only looking at your 1 hour, your 4 hour, your daily. Let's take a look at what kind of week we had. And it was kind of a make it or break it week with it sitting on that trend line. And we've had this week's candle was fairly powerful. So it's the same trade. It could be a bottom, and it did nothing wrong this week. It did something right this week. So your bias, I have to agree with that. Unless there's going to be some big reversal next week, going home on a Friday, you have a positive weekly candle. And I'm not a candlestick master like you and Steve are, but that looks like a decent candle to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good candle. It came off of if you look at the previous week's candle, that's an inverted hammer. Inverted hammer, kind of like a hanging man, is
Yeah.
got the potential for a reversal. And so when you see the follow-up candle, which this week, as long as we close, you know, here or maybe higher, that's a confirmation that the trend near term has, or I guess since we're looking at a weekly, more intermediate term, has changed. So now, you know, traders are going to start focusing on the break above 105.50. How far does that take us? Does it take us past 106? And all those things do really come into play this next week. So so for me, it's I'm totally happy being in my position as long as it doesn't completely fall apart, you know, today. Which it's the Aussie New Zealand. I have to always preface my analysis with the Aussie New Zealand that it is the Aussie New Zealand. And man, I tell you, I've seen this thing. I've seen not just this particular one, but I've seen this. Well, I mean, I'm talking about this particular currency. I've seen it reverse, and the liquidity all of a sudden gets pushed in one direction, and it just starts going. But it is a pair, and I'll tell this to everybody listening. It is a pair that once the juggernaut starts moving, it's really hard to stop when the momentum starts going in for you or against you, because obviously you could be on the wrong side of that too. So when it starts trending, I always like to be very careful trying to fade trends, because it takes a while to, it's like a freight train, you know, and so if this indeed is turning, and here, let me grab the charts. I know it's on your chart right now.
Okay,
So
before you do it though, I just want to, you know, while you were talking, I was thinking about the bigger picture here, and you know, I have a tendency, I like, you know, I think I'm Nostradamus sometimes, but this is like an ascending triangle, which is a bullish reversal formation, like a descending triangle is. And big picture, you know, as long as we hold 104, you can't, you know, it's a step at a time, I know, through different levels of supply, but when you look at it, it's actually a bullish formation that we could get back up to major resistance at 113, and then a breakout over 113 gives you like in the 120s.
Yeah,
so this could be a I know I'm way ahead of myself, but these are things that could turn into campaign trades.
Yeah, let me give you my issues with it, and I'm gonna you know, I'm glad that, you know, you're on it, and we're gonna I'll just show you really quick in regards to what you're talking about, and I agree with you. The only problem that I have, and I'm going to show you my big issue that I have with this is the weekly, and let me get rid of this RSI here. The biggest issue I have with the Aussie New Zealand was this. We had, and I'm long too, so this is not a this analysis doesn't play into my favor. So do you see how we had this false breakout here?
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter that we, and I'm going to get rid of this, and I'll redraw this Gartley pattern. Ah, crap! I just deleted something I didn't want to delete.
So a Gartley would take it to the new lows to complete.
No. We just did. We actually just completed the Gartley, so we're bouncing where we should. But this had me a little worried here. Okay, see this, and let me get rid of this. I can redraw all that
false
stuff.
Breakout, like, you know, like Canada had.
Yeah, so we had this false.
Yeah,
we had this false breakout, but the fact that we came back up and went here again, suggests to me that maybe I wasn't drawing this trend line correctly. And by the way, I redraw my trend lines all the time. So just you know, if you guys think that I'm perfect and whenever I draw a trend line, it's set in stone, that is the furthest from the truth that we could possibly be.
You draw them with the invisible ink.
I
disappears after a while.
I do, absolutely I do. So I'm thinking that maybe we might be in some sort of symmetrical triangle, which is a consolidation, which because of the fact that we just didn't fail immediately here. So let me redraw that again. The fact that we rallied. We just didn't turn around and fail completely. It still hung around up here for this. This is a weekly chart for a couple of months. That means
so that gave inherent strength.
Yeah, that this trend line isn't really the one that I'm concerned with. That's not the one that the market's really looking at. I'm starting to think that we're looking at something that looks maybe like this, maybe like that, which would make sense because this is a symmetrical triangle. If you can see the bottom here, this is a symmetrical triangle now. So what concerns me more about that is that then that means that my upside might be limited from here. Now you might go, okay, well we're at 105 and maybe we're only going to get to 109. But when I'm trading this Aussie New Zealand, I'm looking for this move. I'm looking for the move that takes us back into the teens. And just so you know, I am eventually expecting this move. And when this move happens, this one right here, this one will make my quarter or my semi-annual or maybe even my year. That's how much I believe in the Aussie New Zealand. But the problem is I don't know if it's going to happen now. I'm starting to think that we might do this, and let me grab a pen that I can actually erase a lot. I'm thinking that if this is a symmetrical triangle, we still have to build this apex a little bit.
Oh, more compression.
Yeah. I don't think this is compressed enough. So I think that we might have to do this a little bit longer, which bums me out because if this is a weekly chart, then we're really talking about the next several months of a consolidation. And let me take a step back and give you some of the fundamental reasons why I'm bullish the Aussie New Zealand longer term. And these are the same arguments I gave on the morning edge last year. So, or 6 months ago. So, because I stopped doing the morning edge at the beginning of this year. So you're talking about since here. Yeah. My bullish case was the same here as it is right now, as it was back here, as it was here, as it was here. Okay. So I first and foremost believe that the Australian economy has been hit harder regarding China than the New Zealand currency, meaning that the slowdown in China has affected the Aussie dollar more negative to a point where it is excessively weaker than the Kiwi dollar based on the weaker Chinese outlook over the last couple of years. Now, the reason why I say it's excessive is because over the last 3 years, New Zealand has become China's biggest importer of goods. Not Australia, China. China. So, because of that, I believe that any recovery that we see in China, let's say China does have a recovery, it's going to have a more positive impact on the Australian economy. If China continues to weaken longer term over the next couple of years, like let's say the global economy sees a little bit of a recessionary period, and I have to say that because if the U.S. falls into a cyclical recessionary period, which it's probably upon us, okay, here within the next 6 months, if that happens, China will feel that as well. And I feel that New Zealand will be punished more so than the Australian dollar. The New Zealand currency will more than the Australian dollar the next time around that China feels a little bit of weakness.
So it's an either or makes it constructive for the pair. Either fundamental scenario. That's interesting.
Yes, and also I believe that the New Zealand housing market, the Aussie housing market is a lot in the same boat, but more so New Zealand, has been positively impacted by Chinese investors, more so than Australia. It's overheated the housing market in New Zealand. So New Zealand had kept rates a little higher to try to stem some of that hot investment into their housing market, and tried to prevent it by putting some stricter regulations. Both Australia and New Zealand have both taken some measures, but
it's amazing what that flight capital has done to global real estate markets. Interesting you bring that up, because, you know, when I was selling my house way early, like 2013, there were Chinese people coming in making cash offers with, they had suitcases full of cash. And they were just really, and buying $1 million condos for their kids in New York to go to school.
And
so they did that in New Zealand too.
And they have. And I believe that that if the housing market corrects in New Zealand, they may have to keep rates a little lower, relatively speaking, to Australia. I feel that in this rate rising environment, Australia is more likely to correct higher faster than New Zealand if we continue to raise rates globally. I think the RBA will start ratcheting up rates before New Zealand, because New Zealand will probably start to feel a little bit of their economy cooling down, more so than Australia has already compensated for it. So fundamentally, I believe that the Aussie New Zealand should go up eventually. That's why I don't mind playing it on the support. I remember trying to be long the Aussie New Zealand here and knowing that it failed and got out of my position. I played it long on every dip down to this trend line over the last couple of years, just like I am right now. Nothing changes. The only thing that's going to change is when we get up here towards 108, 109, my hesitation will set in, and then I'll start to look for reasons to exit, because I know it's failed up here so many different times. Now,
your target, Blake, is 50% retracement from the high in 2011 to the low we made in 15. So, I mean, it's a great bullish argument, but, it's a great bullish argument, but, it would almost be a natural thing. People might say, wow, those are ambitious targets, but when you pull out your telescope, it's just normal market correction.
Well, yeah, so these would be like my natural targets moving higher around the 50%, 618. I'm using the arrow more as directional, not necessarily targeting right here. I'm just saying that if we break above 110, then I know the trade's on. And how far we go from here to here to here to here to here to here has so much more to do with what happens on a macro perspective with rates, that it's not something that I can make. I can't pass that judgment right now. I can't look at the market and say, oh, we're going back to 112. I can't make that type of prediction. I don't, I always tell people I have a hard time figuring out what's going to happen 15 minutes from now, let alone what's going to happen 15 months from now. So I try to forge it in my head why I'm playing, like in this particular case, what's my longer term bullish case for the Aussie New Zealand? Okay, I've made it. Now I'm trying to time my entry, which I have this week, because my cost average on my Aussie New Zealand really from when I bought it last week was 104.50, Right. So now I own it at 105.10 and on my average now, and I'm expecting at least a move to 106. You can see this little, this little bull. We got this here. Let me get rid of this. I'm getting more granular. This is an hourly chart. You can see we got a little pennant formed here. And if the pennant plays out, this will take us above 106, but really to previous support, like this zone. And then I have to figure out what the hell I'm going to do after we get here, because once we get to like the 106 area, if this all plays out, like I'm just, imagining that it's going to happen. But if this all plays out, I got to make a real big decision here, because I have to continue to look at the data and say, all right, is it possible for me to hold on? Do I want to continue to hold on? Do I look to reload on a dip? And that all really has to do with, well, what happens in the next couple of weeks. You know, next week we got NAB business confidence. We've got, next week we have monetary policy meeting minutes. We have, we have the New Zealand rate decision next week. So, you know, these decisions of if or when we get up here are all really going to be made based on what happens in the following week, you know, because I mean, who knows, maybe the RBNZ comes out, completely derails my theory, and they come out extremely hawkish, and it looks like they're going to start raising rates soon. And next thing you know, I've got my ideas kaput, you know. So I try to take my trades one day at a time, but keeping a longer term thesis in mind as I'm trading them. And just one last thing about the Aussie New Zealand. I can't believe we just spent this long on the Aussie New Zealand. But when I was telling you about the Gartley, it was here. This is the Gartley. Okay. That's a Gartley reversal. That's why, and this actually goes to.
Volk, you just broke a record.
Yeah, I might have. I might have broken a record on.
Yeah, you know. Steve says this must be the longest analysis ever conducted on the Aussie Kiwi.
I tell you, well, I'm trying to convince myself that this is the right trade. So see, I have to talk it out. But you know, I do this with when I take bigger positions in the market. This is the type of analysis that I do. I mean, I don't sit here and look at a chart and go, oh,
this will make my year.
This is going to make
put a lot of thought into it, energy into it.
This is
analysis.
Exactly, yeah, this is the exact type of analysis that I sit here and do all day. If you guys sit here think I sit around for 15 hours a day with my thumb in my ass, you're completely wrong. I sit here and I go through these types of questions, this type of analysis.
Do you have trading? Do you have trading dreams, Blake? Curious.
Trading dreams? Oh,
when
yeah.
You're dreaming. Yeah.
No, I don't. I have wartime dreams. So like when.
Oh my God.
Maybe that's a product of my Marine Corps infantry background.
Yeah, that's a different post-traumatic stress. That's a different.
But it's not like bad stuff. Like blood and guts and stuff. I'm in battle, but that usually happens when I'm taking big positions in the market. So, which is pretty funny if you think about it. You know, it's like because every day, you know, I sit here and fight just like you guys, and I put my helmet on, I grab my M16 and I go to war. And it's like, so I guess in my mind when I have dreams, I don't dream that I'm trading.
Blake, the one with a grenade launcher at the bottom or the one without?
Yeah, the one with the grenade launcher on the bottom. That's an M203. Yes.
Okay.
Wow. Well, you know, Blake, for what it's worth, I've been kind of looking for this for a long time too. You know, Ricardo Dinger pointed out like this weekly chart that, you know, gave that, and he's like you know, he'd say, Dale, you're getting ahead of yourself and everything. But, you know, I didn't have this fundamental reasoning behind it. It was all technical, but it really makes sense. And you know what? It's a real key statement, you know, because you could trade around and trade around and trade around, but really the market wizards and the guys that really make it, they have, you know, maybe a one or two trades that, like you say, where you put your foot down on the gas. And those are the trades that give you breathing room for maybe the rest of your trading career. You know, if you're always just going to be, oh, you know, I made $3,000 this year, I made $5,000, and that's great because most are negative. But every once in a while, and it even says in Jack's books that all the wizards knew when to break their own rules. How about that?
That's pretty stout, actually.
Yeah.
But just to give you guys some numbers here. So this trade, if I think about my entire month thus far, which is 16 days, because I keep everything on a monthly and quarterly basis now because of who I trade for. This trade right here captured, I want to say, probably about 75% of my gains this month, just over the last 2 days. I mean, so think about that. Think about what, and I don't feel I'm done with it either. I think the Aussie New Zealand has more. I think we're going to 106. So by the end of this month, if it does go to 106 and I play it the way that I plan on playing it, I probably will make about 75 or 80% of the money from just this month on this one particular idea that I've had, if it works out the way that I anticipated to. So, you know, you're right. I mean, I plan out a lot of trades. A lot of my trading that I do during the day, like, you know, I might buy the euro and sell it for 20 pips. I might, you know, short the euro and make 20 or 30 pips. And I have an idea of why I'm doing it. Maybe it's more of an intraday technical type of thing. But that type of fiddle-faddling that I do around the markets throughout the course of the day, it's just me kind of churning a little bit. You know, I try to make a little money here, a little money there, a little money there. I lose a little money here, I lose a little money there. Overall, I try to stay net positive, and then I have these big ideas where I really step on the gas. And this was an example of that. And Craig said, hey, can't beat the quality analysis. Excellent work, Blake. And I'm Aussie, by the way. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I agree. I second it. I second it.
Thank you. Brian said every listener will be trading to Aussie New Zealand after today. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we need to. We already had the boat pretty full the last couple of days on the Aussie New Zealand. I don't know how aggressive I'd be here until we broke back above 105. And I have a smaller position now than I had last week or earlier this week. So just so you guys know, I only have maybe 2/3 of my position size now because I was long down here over the last week and a half, you know, long pretty aggressively, scaled out of everything up here, and then acquired most of my position yesterday over here. Anyway, well, Steve, are you here? Are you available? How are you feeling?
I've been a lot better, but yes, I'm here.
You've been a lot better. Do you want me to continue on, or you okay? I don't want to.
Depends with Aussie and Aussie Kiwi or something else.
No, please go on. I think people have heard enough about this there.
You wanna show gold for a friend that's asking, and I'm gonna take care of the rest.
Yeah, Brian asked about gold. I haven't talked about gold, but I'll give you the ForexAnalytix analysis because it's the same. I would give you the same analysis right now than we wrote up last night. So if you look at gold, and here I'm going to give you the basic technical analysis of gold. So if you're not a subscriber, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So gold, we have had a nice sell-off, and gold can't hold a bid, and unless, but here's the thing, stocks are actually coming under a little bit of pressure right now. If we see a big swath of risk aversion, then that's really the only thing, in my opinion, that's going to turn around gold. Either that, or if you see a big sell-off in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and if you see a sell-off in some of those, I think some of the money will come back into precious metals. I think precious metals have seen a zap in a lot of the Asian interest, Indian interest that has previously been in precious metals has really been in these cryptocurrencies. So unless those things go to hell in a handbasket, I think gold's going to have a hard time really making any significant gains. But I do believe that that we're coming down. You can see like the RSI's mid-range here, and now I can pull up the live chart at the moment. But you know,
Mr. Pinkert says look for a reactionary low in gold on the summer solstice, which is only a week away.
Okay, well, you know, in a week I could see us trading down at this trend line and at the 618 around 1250, 1245. I think this is the place where you got your best.
Blake, I need to be away for 5 minutes because Norm is calling me to give him directions for how to join the webinar.
Sure. I didn't know there was people named Norm in Greece. That's a first for me. Okay, anyway, but I'm looking at gold right here, and I think we could come down towards support. And there's a 200-day moving average. There's a trend line support. There's the 618. I think the best risk reward for longs is right there. So that's what I'm looking at, Brian. It's not a and who knows? Like I said, this market may come to pieces. It's Friday. The market's been really bullish. Maybe the market just gets unraveled, and all of a sudden gold just gets a huge bid and it starts rallying. Maybe it stops at this 50% retracement. But I personally am looking to buy it next week around the 1245, 1250 level. This is a place I actually want to be long gold, because and I want to go into one last thing, Dale. While Steve is going to be here, the dollar has been rallying. I know it broke this down channel here, and I asked I know you weren't around in our meeting yesterday. Where's my, oh, here it is. So
yeah, damn Dixie always hides from me too. Go ahead.
Okay, so well, you weren't on our ForexAnalytix meeting yesterday, yeah, but I know, but I mean, you had perfectly good reason not to be, and but I did tell our team, or asked the team yesterday. I'm like, listen, I see gold break, or the dollar breaking higher. I see it breaking through this relative strength. I see all that, but
hasn't done much.
I'm not sold on it. I told him yesterday, I'm not sold on the dollar going higher. I think it's bouncing, but I'm not sold on it. And I said, I told Nick and I asked everybody else, I'm like, can you guys sell me on the idea, that it's rallying? And Nick pointed out something that was really good. She said that we stopped here, and you can see.
You know what, Blake? Nick is a diamond. So when I meet her one day, I'm going to have my shades on, because she's as brilliant as a diamond. What do you think?
She is. She certainly is. But she made a good point. She goes, okay, so we stopped at a 24% retracement on a monthly basis here, and also it's a 618 retracement, obviously, on the daily. And she said, as long as this holds, you can't really be bearish. And I'm like, okay, I agree. I can agree with that. But I guess I'm looking at the idea of, how about if it does break down? And if it does break down, then I have to go back into gold. That's what's really going to provoke me to be bullish gold, is if the dollar comes under pressure. So anyway, I'm
thinking if we get through today's highs, Blake, that we're going to tag your trend line that was broken a few weeks ago. That would take it to that 99.24 level, and that's going to provide your buying opportunity in gold. And I know Nick's looking for 107, but I think that's, to me, up there is going to be a nice dollar selling opportunity, and that probably is going to equate to about 109 in Euro USD. Just a guess.
Yeah, maybe
I reserve the right to change my mind if it fails. But
that's a great thing about being a trader, is we can change our mind all day long. So,
well, that's my favorite expression. I have it on my desk by W.D. Gann. If you don't learn how to change your mind, you won't have any change left. Unquote.
That's a great quote. I love that. Yeah. I love that.
That's
all right. So hey, I'm gonna pass. Steve, are you back? I'm not sure if he's back yet. But Dale, I'm gonna pass it back to you. Oh.
Okay, I think he's trying to help our guest get in the webinar.
Here, Dale, I'm gonna pass it to you right now.
Okay.
And I'm gonna sign out. You guys have a great Friday. I will see you guys on Monday.
Okay, brother.
Weekend. All right.
Thank you, Blake.
Thanks, Dale.
I tell you what, I don't want to look at anything but Aussie Kiwi after that analysis phase. What do you think? I want to bring up a point that, I knew guys on the floor.
I'm ready.
That never left.
Joined, actually.
Are you here, Steve?
Yes, and Norm has now joined and is listening in, so he's ready to go.
Oh, thank you so much for helping Norm out.
Yeah,
Norm's kind of like me. Yeah, he was caught. He was kicking and screaming all the way, being dragged into the 21st century, like me. So yeah, remember, hey Steve, talking about that. Remember our first practice session in GoToMeeting?
Oh yes, I will not easily forget that.
I asked you to record it so that we could watch it one day and laugh. And I would love to see myself,
yeah, you know something though.
Pulling my hair out.
You are the exception to the rule that you cannot teach an old dog new tricks. You actually.
Oh, thank you.
Within 2-3 days, you were in shape, and you know.
Yeah, talking about old dogs, huh? So
yeah. Sorry, no pun intended. I didn't even think about it. It's the expression.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, Rusty made it till he was 19, Steve.
You know
so
something?
He had
I bet that
it's a world record.
It was record. Good years for him, mate.
Yeah. Well, you know, the funny thing is, I adopted him. And I didn't know his age, and I just found out recently he was 19. I thought he was 15, 14.
That's amazing.
But when I adopted him, I thought I was rescuing him. And what really happened was he rescued me. So
I know exactly.
I think I'm going to write a book about him. I'm going to write a book. So anyway, I'm glad Norm's in. And
I see people asking for freebies here, Dale.
Oh, well, you know what? Go ahead. You know, the Bible says if someone wants your jacket, give them your shirt. So let's be giving, sharing people today. And perhaps that type of attitude, which we really do every day. I mean, you know, we give freebies away every day. And, you know, you never know when you're helping people, if you're going to receive back, it be reciprocated by the same person. But when you sow good seed, which is what we do here in Phase, you're going to reap a bountiful harvest. I'm a big believer in that you reap what you sow. So go ahead, man, give it away. Maybe someone will join that's in the, you know, the hundreds of people that are in here will take up a subscription because they're infected by the giving spirit and want to support us. Go ahead, boss.
So let me go back and have a look at what people want.
Aussie Kiwi?
Yeah, of course. Yes, absolutely. I think Blake covered every single angle anybody could think about it. And you know something, I really don't know why he's trading that so much, but I can tell you something about Blake. Even if you give him something that's dead, he's going to manage to make money out of it. I can guarantee you that.
I don't like being on the other side of the market.
Indeed. The guy is natural.
Or you know what, Steve? And now that I've gotten to know you and watched you for 2.5 months, I feel the same way about you.
Nah,
and you know what?
I'm in a totally different league. Blake is in a totally different league than me.
I feel the same way about Nicola Duke. Now I feel the same way about Greg Horvitz. I don't want to be on. And you know what? I feel the same way about Stelios. So everyone in here, you know, I think are masters at their work and put a lot of time into it.
Stelios probably has by far the best hit rate than any of us has, because you know this guy is, you know, he's trading macro. He's very, very patient. Yeah. He's very, very tolerant. Yeah. And you know he commits very few times in the market, but you know when he does, he's absolutely convinced. So he
and you know last week when Nick joined us, you know, and it was right before that washout low, stop hunt, whatever you want to call it, and the dollar on the number before the Fed. You know, we talked about that the day before, and you know, her numbers are great. I mean, her harmonic work is outstanding.
Yeah, Nick is a magician with Fibs. Honestly, it's like the market.
But you know what? I wouldn't sell myself short if I were you, because I've watched you. You know, I've seen thousands of people trade in my over 30-year career, having my own IB and having customers and training prop traders and working with retail traders, coaching, mentoring, and I know what I know when I see it, and your stuff is excellent, and it's helped me. So I'm sure it's helped others as well. Don't sell yourself short.
Thank you, Dale.
Okay, buddy?
So
because if you do, you know what's going to happen. You'll get stopped out. But go ahead.
So let's have
Go
a fast
ahead.
look at a few things that people have asked. USD CAD, there is not much to say here. I can say that, you know, during the Fed day, the USD CAD got saved from, you know, a terminal breakdown of this last trend line here. So, you know, for the time being, somebody can even make, you know, the thesis that this was an A, B, C, and, you know, the trend higher is going to resume. Personally, I'm very skeptical about that. I remain short, and, you know, yesterday's rejection from this area is also acting as a warning sign. So I'm not saying that the risk reward to be here is short. Obviously not. If you weren't already short, getting short here is, you know, makes absolutely no sense. But if you are short from the bear flag formation or even higher, I wouldn't be so fast to call this a reversal. That's all I'm saying about here, because, you know, this looks very weak. I mean, yeah, the rebound during the day before tomorrow, you know, after the Fed is, you know, is formidable, this hammer. But what has followed since definitely does not display any real strength. So be careful. I don't think you want to be, if you have to be long USD against something, as I also repeated yesterday, you probably don't want that something to be USD at the moment from what we've seen. Now people keep asking, unfortunately, about gold and silver, and you know very well that I've always been sharing my opinions on that, but yesterday, for whoever wasn't here, we agreed with Grega that, you know, despite having specific levels and despite liking the rebound here, which I traded because I really believe that this was overdone and that we would definitely see a snapback rally, silver and gold have not done much yet. So, you know, if you want to know what's going to happen here, watch rates. As Blake showed, they have the same trend line here. Obviously, you cannot be outright bearish gold because, you know, there is also the like triangle, because you can say it's a flat triangle, a flat top triangle interpretation, for example, something like that. But definitely
Yeah,
the fact
ascending.
yeah, exactly. So, for example, who knows? This might actually be a scenario that can easily play out, for sure. I mean, the bullish scenario currently, from what I've seen, is something like that. Either a rebound from the 61.8 here, or from a retest of this trend line. But currently, where we're currently at, there is absolutely nothing to do. Nothing to do. I see no risk reward here. I see no indication, strong indication of a reversal. I mean, of course, gold can move with, you know, with news like, you know, Trump investigation news or whatever, or some very strong risk aversion, as Blake mentioned. But, you know, gold and silver at current levels, I'm just monitoring. I'm not seeing something I like.
Yeah, look at the weekly candle. It's going to be ugly.
It is. It's going to be very ugly, actually.
You know, Steve, you bring this up and you say this a lot, and I think it's a very important thing for anyone that wants to be successful. You know, everyone knows the expression, sometimes the right trade is no trade. But you know what? I'll even add on to it. Many times, the right trade is no trade. And being in cash is a position, and being flat at times is a position.
I could not agree more than you.
You see the forest from the trees. I don't care how disciplined you are. You're more detached when you're flat. You know, the best traders are detached even when they're in positions. But for most people, they see the markets clear when they don't have a position on that they have a bias. So, you know, it's good to not trade some days.
I agree
and
completely.
Be patient. Go ahead, Bob.
I want to go over some other charts, and I see what people are asking, and we're going to go over them. As many as I have the time until you.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to take a break while you're covering this stuff, buddy, and I'll be back in a few.
Okay,
Thank you, Steve.
I wanted to show USD.
What a great! You know what? I'm going to interrupt you one more time, and then I'm going. You are a great co-anchor in face.
Thank you.
You are a great co-anchor in face. So,
Thank you.
anyway, really. What a team. Just
Okay.
unbelievable.
I don't know for whoever has...
I'm going to cry now. I'm leaving to cry for a few minutes and I'll be back.
Okay, Dale. So this is, I don't know whoever has seen, but ForexAnalytix had actually made a blog post up here in USDMXN, one of those long multiple analysis approach that we've done, which actually was showing why we believed in a strong reversal of the USDMXN. I'm saying that because, you know, when we're trying to call tops and bottoms, you know, we have a decent record, and that's not the only case. And I can tell you, being one of the co-authors of that I'm seeing, you know, potential that this trend lower might be coming to an end. Why? Because we have a retest of this area, which is the August 2016 low, and I see a descending wedge. So somebody asked about an equivalent pair, and I also see the USD ruble leading this kind of price action in a sense. And a friend here, Ron, asked about okay, the Singaporean dollar, and as you see, yeah, this wedge is not so clean, but you know, this is a huge reversal for sure here, these two candlesticks. So a lot of those more exotic US dollar pairs are showing reversal potentials. So, you know, don't jump the gun, but, you know, some of them are very high risk reward trades, USD ZAR as well. Some of them are very high risk reward to risk trades. And, you know, if you know how to handle those trades, you know, perhaps you want to keep an eye on them. So pound Aussie, I think we had a look at it yesterday, but we can have a fast look at the 2 pound pairs, the pound Aussie and the pound Kiwi. Okay, pound Aussie, nothing much has changed since yesterday. We were looking at this confluence of supports down here because it's this horizontal level that has acted as support or resistance multiple times. It's also the 200 EMA. Yesterday we got a very nice hammer. Today we're not seeing follow through, but we're still holding this, and the 50% fib, by the way, is sitting right around here. So, you know, reversal trades are very hard, very hard. You might need to get 2-3 shots until you actually manage to do it. Everybody can remember my example with Nasdaq. I actually got, you know, 3 attempts to short this one. I left with at break even at 1. I left with a small loss at the next one, and now I'm very comfortable in the profit. But you know, you need to have a plan in place. You need to have some specific technicals in place that you like, and you need.
Let's see the weekly candle on that when you're through.
Sure.
I'm curious to see what that looks like with your count. That's an ugly weekly candle.
Yes, but we're still holding the the ascending channel. So as long as that's the case, you know, you cannot be overly bearish. Especially we
might get it. Looks like we might get a little ABC. I mean, if it's going to rally, to me, it looks like it could be an ABC. That,
yes, we had this conversation yesterday with Gregor.
Okay.
And actually, if we get an equality of the ABC, the equality target is at 5,516. I also asked Gregor yesterday what would he want.
Well, I was talking about maybe we get a rally if we don't break down here, that we had the bounce after the, you know, initial crash.
Yeah, of course, because you know something, we might, I mean, this price action here could have been interpreted like an ABC, but perhaps there is a more complex correction happening here. So
that's what I'm talking about.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
The first 3 days was this pullback.
Yes,
B,
so we might have a flat. We might have a flat or a triangle. For example, we might see another move higher, another rejection, and then a resumption. Correct. I mean, as it's unfolding, we cannot be sure what kind of a short-term correction this one is.
As Arthur Fonzarelli would say, exactamundo.
What? Sorry?
You know who Fonzie was from Happy Days? Okay, you're too young.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
probably yes. Somebody wants to have a look at the S&P. Listen, S&P.
Same
S&P is
thing.
way more resilient. There is no question about it. It's way more
Yeah.
resilient. I mean, if I didn't have the Nasdaq in front of me all day long, my argument would be that this is a flat correction of some kind, you know, before a resumption higher. I mean, you know, they
Well, we get the pop in the Nasdaq. Maybe we get one more pop in the S&P.
True,
But
true. And don't
but
forget that at the same
what led
time,
the market? What led the market up? Nasdaq. What's going to lead the correction? Nasdaq. I
yes,
rest my case, ladies and gentlemen.
okay, that's indeed the case. Let's have a look at the Nikkei as well. You remember, Dale, we had a conversation about this thing a long time ago when we were retesting, and I also showed yesterday that we also potentially have a head and shoulder stop here, as you see.
Nice. Yeah.
So perhaps a retest of the neckline will then lead to the next move lower. So FTSE 100, from a technical perspective, very interesting to watch. Also, the DAX is very interesting. I mean, we keep banging our heads on this resistance, and it keeps failing, and it keeps failing, and it keeps failing. So, you know, this is not a good sign.
To a top formation.
Yeah, we've had an ascending wedge, we had an overthrow, we had a channel, we've had a lot of things. I mean, this thing remains bullish. I mean, you cannot make an argument to be bearish unless we break below 12,400. But so many rejections from the same level, you know, the more you fail to penetrate, the higher the likelihood that, you know, buyers are going to give up, and then you're going to see, you know, a more violent move lower. So, you know, people really need to be careful about it. Kiwi yen, I know a lot of people were looking at it. I'm not going to tell you to be short Kiwi yen, but I'm going to tell you that we're definitely currently at important resistance. And if we draw a new fib here and see also how much we've retraced, also the 61.8. So it's not only horizontal resistance, it's also the 61.8. And if we go one step further and we say, okay, let's have a look. We've also surpassed by a little bit the, you know, the equality of the two legs. So, you know, Kiwi yen, if you believe in yen weakness, because I believe in the Kiwi weakness, but if you believe in the yen weakness, I think, you know, this is something to monitor. At least we are at a critical level, for sure. Aussie yen retraced exactly where we expected, but didn't first rebound from where we expected, so we can delete now this. Next resistance zone is higher actually. It's here at the 61.8, so we're not there yet. We tested today and got rejected from the 50%. I'm showing some yen pairs because, you know, we haven't had a look at them yesterday. Actually, I opened this on the wrong page. Here we go. CAD yen, a little bit more complex. We had a false break below the broken channel, and then we seem to be rebounding of it. Somebody also can claim that this is an inverted head and shoulders. It's not so clean, but it is here. So, you know, definitely this is the do or die level. This is descending, this is descending, no, it's not a channel, actually, it's a simple trend line. So, more or less, I think you need to start your interview, right, Dale?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can definitely have a look at the rest tomorrow, on Monday. That means, of course, on the next day. So that's going to be Monday. It's a good opportunity to have some weekend analysis as well. So we'll have a lot to talk about. Thank you, Dale.
Thank you so much, Steve. And Norm Winsky, I'm making you the presenter now. Looking forward to hearing your voice, and
Do that.
hope you could. I could hear you, Norm. looking forward to seeing your screen. You hit the screen share.
What's this gray box here? Show my screen. Should I click on that?
There you
Yes,
go.
and
buddy.
if you have more than one screen, Norm, you can select the drop-down menu and choose which screen you want to share. If you only have one screen,
All
just
right, well,
press show.
I'll be happy if I can show one screen, you know.
You are. You are. So Norm, let me introduce you to our FACE community. And everybody, this is Norm Linsky. I've been interviewing Norm for, I don't know, what would you say, Norm, 3 years or so, something like that on it. Usually we come in every month or so. And I've always been attracted to, call me a lunatic. Just for some crazy reason, when I was younger, I used to follow the markets and the moon and was always interested in astronomy as a kid. So when I would read people that would use astronomics for forecasting and trading financial markets, it was always so interesting to me. And Norm's one of the best. He's also a very good teacher, and I'd recommend him. I don't bring anyone on here that I think is a charlatan. I've seen Norm call many turns, and I'm ready to hand it over to you. I know that the March 8th time window was important to you. The week following is important to you. So welcome to our community, Norm, and the mic is yours.
Thank you very much, Dale. Just to give you a little background for the folks who don't know me, I've been studying. I started studying the stock market when I was 15. I'm now 66. Right out of college, in 1975, I bought a membership on the fledgling Chicago Board Options Exchange. At the time, I was a market maker down there for 12 years. Also traded on the Board of Trade for a while. So there we go. I have a little experience. And so along the way there, what's that again?
A little bit, yeah. I'd say 4 decades, five decades if you count when you were 15.
There you go.
Why don't you tell us when you first started looking at planets for cues to make speculative bets?
Okay, well, that was while I was in college. I had a small inheritance and had some money, and I stumbled on an astrology book, and I've always sort of natural-born people, interested in observing people's behavior and mass psychology and that sort of thing. And I stumbled on an astrology book, and I was in college and took it back to the dorm and tried it on my friends, and they were all going, "How did you know that?" So I got impressed with I thought it was good for a joke. I thought it would be good for a laugh. Turned out the laugh was on me, because that was 1970 and this is 2017. And so now I have 3,000 astrology books, including I own Evangeline Adams, including Evangeline Adams' library. She was the astrologer to J.P. Morgan.
Wow.
So yeah.
I didn't even know he had one.
What's that?
I didn't know he had one.
Right. Oh, yeah. If you go to the Morgan Library there, the ceiling is Zodiac.
Okay. Because, he used to make those big bond bets during the Civil War, didn't he? Talking history, where he would get messages from the front lines, probably was consulting as astrologer too, but.
Well, this is much later now. This is much, maybe that was his father or something. I don't know.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, go ahead.
This is early 20th century stuff,
Okay. All right.
He attributed Evangeline Adams with helping to make hundreds of millions of dollars back then. So that was in the early 20th century money,
Okay, how do we make thousands upon thousands?
No. Very well. Yep. Okay. Yeah. By the way, how much time do we have, Dale?
You have 25. Just as long as you need. How about that?
All right. Well, you started to say 25. I think I can do it in less than 25, but
okay. Go ahead.
All right. So anyway, I've been publishing a market letter since 1978, and I do planetary cycles, and that's why I decided to go right out of college, go to Chicago and buy a seat, because I'd been doing some investing and I did quite well based on the planetary cycles forecasting the market. and so I kept on studying. Once I got to Chicago, I stumbled on studying WD Gann and other cycles, Fibonacci. I know all advanced Fibonacci and all this stuff, and so put it together, and I've been evolving for all these years, And so now this is right out of my monthly letter, which was published on Sunday night, June the 5th. I added they took the first 2 days of June and tacked them onto the end of the May letter, so that's why you're not seeing those. And so we're going to go here. I'll show you the dates. Dale is so popular, I couldn't get on the show earlier, so otherwise I would have showed you this stuff in advance. So the first big window for big planet, this was a huge week from the end of the first week of June, right around the 8th and the 9th, till right now. We had the planets were having a big convention. There was huge stuff almost every day. So we had a lot of stuff going on. Now let me tell you a few principles that we're going to be talking about. We are here on the big blue marble called the Earth, where all the planets are going around the sun, but we're all going around the sun in different speeds. So there's some phenomena that are Earth-based, that's geocentric, and that's due to the relative motion of the Earth to the other planets. There's something called a station point. That is, as you look, if you were to plot the planets nightly, you would notice that because we are here on Earth, it appears, that's the key word, it appears that every now and then, individually speaking, a planet will stop its motion and then reverse its direction. That's called a station point, and it only is stationary, appears stationary for a short time, and then it turns. So there's two kinds of station points. One is stationary direct, that's when it stops to go forward, and stationary retrograde when it stops to go backwards. Let me just explain it so you can understand it in real life terms. So if you're driving your car and you're doing 60, and you look at your speedometer and it says you're doing 60, intellectually you know you're doing 60, but you look out your side window, somebody's passing you, they're doing 70, you might get the impression that you're going backwards by 10 miles an hour. Einstein talked about this, told the story about being on a train in a train station. His train's not moving, he looks out the window, and all of a sudden he has the sensation that he's going backwards. That's because the train next to him was pulling out of the station. So that's what's happening here with the planets from the point of view of the Earth. It's all relative. Einstein talked about it. We know physically the planets are not doing that, but still there's a certain amount of physics involved, as Einstein would tell you, because it's important our relative position to these other bodies. So when the planets change trend, the markets change trend. I will now demonstrate that. So on the morning of the 9th, that's AC, by the way, is my language for telling you something's happening after the close of that day. For example, if I see a 6-8 after the close, that means it's happening overnight, perhaps before the opening the next day. So just before the New York opening for the stock market, we had a full moon, and here's another combination of cycles. And about every 7 months, the full moon or new moon lines up with another lunar cycle called apogee or perigee. The moon is going around the Earth, but it's not in a perfect circle. Therefore, it's somewhat elliptical, and so therefore there's a point at which the moon is either closest or farthest from the Earth in its monthly cycle. And so this is a separate cycle from the full moon, new moon cycle. And these line up though about every, it'd be, you get one or the other every 7 months, or the exact repeat every 14 months. So so there's a special full moon. We had apogee is if it's it's a far, and so a full moon apogee, and it was within maybe 20-30 minutes of Jupiter turning direct in the sign Libra. So that tells me, because it's in the sign Libra, that's important for sugar, which is Libra. And the stocks respond to everything. The commodities are narrow filters that tend to respond only to a few things. But the stock market is the big basket of everything. So we had sugar, stocks, and wheat. Let's go look at those markets. Right now, here's your sugar. We also had another big point for sugar and wheat on Monday. The 9th was a Friday, and Monday was the 12th. On the 12th, we also had Venus, which is the planet associated with Libra, was going aphelion. Helion is the sun. Again, A is a far, so Venus was at its farthest point as it goes around the sun. So Friday, Monday was a big double window for sugar and wheat. So let's look look at those markets now, and also possibly the stock market. So let's look at their sugar. There's a 30-minute. Can you see that okay, Dale? Can you see the chart?
Yeah, it's very clear.
Okay, there's your sugar chart there, and you can see the box tells you that at 7:30 in the morning on the 12th, the sugar topped out and then started going down. And you could just draw simple trend lines there, channel lines, and we were looking for this window here for a topping type action, you know, because it had been going up. So we're just looking for a change of trend, real simple stuff, you know.
Nice.
Once you know the right time, then it's not that hard to figure out. Watch the prices there. When they get to an extreme at the top of the channel or the bottom of the channel, there's a good chance for a reversal. Mr. Gann said, if you're familiar with Mr. Gann, he said time was more important than price. Price is totally relative to time. You don't know whether a price is high or low unless you put it in the context of time.
Yeah, love
Here's
that
your
guy.
week. Here's your week. What's that?
I love that guy.
There you go.
I was telling Blake earlier, I have on my desk again saying, if you don't learn how to change your mind, you won't have any change left.
But hey, that's a good one. Mr. Gann, I believe his birthday, I think, was near your birthday.
Oh, a Gemini? Huh.
Yes, sir.
So the Geminis have no problem being long or short because there's a couple.
They're very flexible.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, buddy.
They can turn on a dime, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Except they're also very loyal.
Turn on a dime and give you change too, right? All right, here you go. So the wheat responded to both points. See, we had 2 points here, the two sugar or wheat points, and so the sugar sort of bunched them together and took, combined it into one, whereas the wheat kind of split it up. And here you have the wheat here topping on the in the morning of the 9th. Then it dropped to the morning of the 12th, and then we have a point later on we're going to look at too. There's a nice reversal in the grains here just a day or two ago, but we're getting ahead of myself here now. So we'll go back here now.
That wheat scalp was 20 cents. That was a grand a contract both ways.
Right. I got that in. I don't know if you saw that in my notes or not, but
yeah,
take a mention of that. All right. Next we have Jupiter is lining up in Libra again. Jupiter's in Libra, and it's lining up with Neptune. That's oil. So we want to look at oil, and also, like I said, we'll get to the stock market chart in a minute. Let's see what chart I have next on here. There's your oil, August crude oil. And you can see here that we had the morning of the 12th. That point I just gave you was after the close of the 9th. That's a Friday, so over the weekend of the 9th. And so guess what, right? Early in the morning before the regular day session, you have crude oil topping out at 7 in the morning, and there's a nice top there on the crude oil. See that?
Yeah, that was a big.
You had this little trend line off of these two little tops there. If you projected that out, bang, it's when it hit that right there in our time window. Is when it topped. Okay.
Nice.
Let's see. Now moving ahead here. Let's see. We did the Venus thing for sugar and wheat. Let's move up now to, I think the next thing we're going to look at is the, okay, we have the moon's north though. That's a lunar cycle, an 18.6 year cycle going through the zodiac in reverse order. Each sign is 18.61 months. You like fractals, Dale? And
yeah.
It takes 18.61 days to go 1 degree. So it's got repeating mathematics there, on the digits. So the moon's north node, it's in Leo, that's corn and gold. And then we have, let's see, Uranus, that's copper. Let's see, corn, and in Leo, we have corn and gold, right?
How did you figure out which planet affects each instrument?
I kind of stumbled onto this, and that's I give that away in my free class. You should come and do my class sometime. But I'll give you a clue though. It's first grade logic. I mean literally.
Huh.
Okay. So maybe for example, you've heard of Taurus the bull, right?
Right.
Maybe that has something to do with a commodity,
Okay. Interesting.
The commodity has to do with bulls,
Okay.
So if you try to think this at a sophisticated level, you'll never get it. If you think about it like a first grader would think about it, you might get the answers.
Simplicity. Yeah. Okay.
Let's go look at some charts. So there's your crude oil. Next we have the stock market. We'll be probably coming back to this, but right there, you were just talking about, I forgot the guy's name, Steve, right? Steve?
Yeah. Yeah.
You were talking about Steve about the NASDAQ. Well, there you go. I have this in advance that we should have a big change in trend the morning of the 9th because Jupiter is going direct right on top of a full moon. And there you go. Your three major stock indices, the Dow Jones, the S&P 500, and NASDAQ composite. And I think, I don't know which one you watch. I usually mostly watch NASDAQ composite. Sounds like you might be looking at the NASDAQ 100. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's the highest beta one anyway. Yeah.
Okay. And so they all made new all-time highs right there, right on the opening. And I think that maybe it lasted, hung up there for about an hour or so. We have 1030 there. I think, oh yeah, there you go. 1030 was the high for the S&P 500. That's still the all-time high so far. And that was the top. And then, the NASDAQ that day had kind of a meltdown, so, and they not only had a turn in the markets there, I think you might have been alluding to earlier, we also had a big shift in the risk pendulum, where the big money managers apparently all decide they don't want to be in such risky, overinflated stocks, and they have moved now to the more, old-fashioned sort of blue chip kind of stock. They're favoring the Dow Jones, and you can see the risk, how they're, operating here, favoring more Dow Jones end of the risk scale versus the NASDAQ,
Okay.
Well, that was Jupiter. Jupiter did its thing there, and it had a big effect on the stock market. Let's see, where are we at now? Oh, here's that Moon's North Node, 120 the Uranus there, right there. There's that nice top there. We also had something right next to that on that was the 14th, early on the morning on the 14th, and then there's the 15th. And when we topped out, we're going to get to that. I'm getting a little ahead of myself here on that. And let's go back here to our list again. There's the 13th after the close, so the end of the next morning, the 14th, we had the corn. Oh, we got to look at the corn, copper. We're going to skip over the stocks now for a minute, and we'll go look at these others. Here's copper. Made a nice little rebound top there right on the 14th. Okay. Here's your silver. Look at that. A nice spike high there right on the 14th. They all made tops on the 14th, and you probably know that the gold did the same thing a few hours later. Right there it is at 1:50 p.m. on the 14th. Okay. And you can see these charts okay, right, Dale?
Yes.
All right, I'll make the screen a little bigger. I forgot to do that. There we go. Get rid of the toolbar, All right, now we're going back here to how many people do you have listening to this, if you don't mind I ask you?
Hundreds.
Hundreds. Okay, well, hello, folks. All right, my other next big point is the 14th after the close was Mercury at 0 north latitude. What is that? Well, as the planets are going around the sun, think of a carousel with the horses going around and around. The horses not only go around and around, but they also go up and down, and that's what the planets do. They actually oscillate a little bit up and down from their highway called the ecliptic. So they travel a little bit above, a little bit below, and when they travel going up, like the horses going up, when they get to their actual highway, the middle there, if they're going up, that's 0 latitude, and if they're going up, that's called 0 north latitude. If they're going down and across the highway, then it's 0 south latitude. Mercury did that on the night of the 14th, and we're looking for a change in trend for grains and stocks. All right, and we'll zip by there now, and here's your S&P top here, right when Mercury, that was the other night when overnight, the S&P had a pretty good drop there, about 15, 16 handles. Remember that, Dale?
Yeah. Yeah, when they said Trump was going to be probed.
Oh, well, yeah. I guess it was time for his annual checkup or something, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and a little joke there, Dale. Okay, and and there you go. So Mercury went 0 latitude, and the market topped out right there. And then we had the nice sell-off there, And let's go look at the other market that I mentioned. It was the grains. Here we go. Wheat. We got to look at, no, corn. Where's my corn chart? Corn. We're going to look at corn, I think. Did we look at corn? There we go. There's corn. Oh, here we go. Yeah, there's the 14th right there. You see where you can see my hand pointing there?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. They made a nice top in the corn there at 385. Okay, that was on the 5 in the morning on the 14th. Okay.
Yeah, you told me that the grains were trading,
I'm sorry.
you were telling me the grains were really trading in sync with the moon recently.
Oh yeah, well you want to, you know, I always say if you don't want to use your brains, trade the grains. I think they're about the easiest markets there are. Yeah,
I like it.
because you
Yeah.
just go, all you got to do is go look at, you can make money just look at the full moon, new moon. The grains I'd say works 80% of the time. Turn on a new moon or full moon. Now I got some more sophisticated cycles here that you can use to make it even better. I just kind of made a mistake here. That was our earlier point, but the point we want to look at right now was after the close of the 14th. And so that's that low right there. That would happen at 9:30 in the morning. All the grains turned right about that time within 5 or 10 minutes. And then they had a huge rally. You know, as you mentioned, the wheat, we'll be looking at that also in a minute. And that was, see, that's back here at the beginning of this thing here. Let's see, here's your wheat here. There's your wheat turn right there on the morning of the 15th. And that, as you mentioned, that's a more than a 20-cent move. That's over $1,000. Just in a very short amount of time. All right, we got Mercury. There's your grains and stocks. It worked for the stock market. It worked, as you saw, wheat and corn both turned on that. Here's a thing here on the night of the 14th. So within it, you know, all these things are, I allow one trading day, or I'm wrong. Uranus made a 90-degree angle to Pluto based on, you know, there's something called a natal chart. We take a snapshot of the planets at when you were born or when some important thing began, like the July the 4th, 1776 was the beginning of the USA. And so we take a snapshot of where the planets are on that day and use that and then look at the planets now and compare. So on the night of the 14th, we had Uranus forming a 90-degree angle to the U.S. Pluto, where it was on July the 4th, 1776, and that's what I interpreted that as being a very negative cycle for the U.S. And what happened there, we had a couple things happen that morning. We had the congressman getting shot, and we also had the low for the dollar, right?
Yeah.
And so there we go, change of trend, stocks, T-bonds, and U.S. dollar.
Yeah.
Moving on ahead now, the next thing we're going to look at is after the close of the 15th, Neptune, that was the last night. Neptune turns retrograde, so we need to look at our crude oil and stocks. Let's see, the crude oil I have here, right there. And so we're looking for a low here because it's been going down, down, down. Okay, I think we're going to get a low here. I don't know what it's doing right now. I haven't looked at my screen here lately. But all these charts are as of last night. And so it looks to me like we might be putting in a low here. But here's the thing. The Neptune is said to be the ruling planet for crude oil, and it's turning retrograde. When the ruling planet of a commodity goes retrograde, it tends to have a general negative influence. However, the one exception to that is if we have a big down into that point, then you are likely to you could get a bounce. So that's what I think we're going to get here. We're going to get a bounce.
So yeah, so the cycle inverted.
Well, I think there's a twofold thing. I think short term you can get a bounce, but I think eventually this thing will roll over and go down, and it'll probably take this low out.
Okay.
Okay, if you look at the bigger picture, you know, I'm very usually short-term oriented, but there is a bigger picture influences here that when there's certain phenomena, like I just said, when the planet goes retrograde, you can get a bounce for maybe a week or two or less, and before you know it, then it's probably going to take that low out. That makes the fact that, you know, if you go back and look at every June the last several years, almost every June the crude oil is making a top and going down through the summer. And it's always near when Neptune turned retrograde.
Interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, let's go back to our list again. And where are we at now? Neptune turned retrograde. That's the stock market. So I was looking for some kind of turn in the stock market here. And then we also have, that gets us to the end of the list, which is Saturday, tomorrow. A very interesting Gann point, Dale. And that, you know, Gann loves square numbers, and they particularly like the odd square numbers. How about if we combine Fibonacci with that? And so we have 55, that's a Fibonacci number, square days. 55 times 55 is 3,025 days from the March 6, 2009 stock market low. That'll be Saturday.
Okay, interesting.
Okay, so we'll have to see how the stock market closes the day. And so that's pretty much, I think, most of my presentation. Let's see. Let me.
Okay, so on the
Oh,
17th.
I added some stuff on here just for you, Dale.
Okay.
We got a bonus here. We got some currency stuff. There you go, because I knew you'd want to have some currencies.
Okay.
So these were not on my radar, because you can see that other than coming up here over the weekend, and they were really pretty sleepy. This is my little my calendar that I have in my letter, which tells you when and where things are going to happen. It tells you, look, here's an important date, and it tells you what market to look at. So we have two things happening in somewhat important here over the weekend. There's the 9th, there's the 12th. Each column is a trading day. Each column is subdivided into 3 parts. But when you're on the line, you're on the borderline in between those days. So over the weekend, we had the Aussie dollar popping up. I had, based on late May, change in trend. When I did this letter, I started on Monday, June the 5th, and so it looked like the Aussie dollar would be very positive, and it's been, the last I looked, it's been going up, right?
Yes.
There's the chart. This is futures. You might be upside down from this. I don't know. Right? This is compared to the dollar, Aussie dollar to the U.S. dollar, right?
Right.
So there you go. The Aussie dollar has been going up, right?
Mm. Yep.
Is that a yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep is a yes.
Let's Frank, you got a big change of trend, 24 points, a pretty decent change of trend due over the weekend here for Monday. It might whipsaw, chop a bit, because then we have one right next door on the next day, and then looks like we should get a strong trending period here from the 13th to about the 16th. And wait, that was last week. I got my weeks mixed up. Sorry about that. Oh, that was last weekend. Sorry about that. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, I messed up. All right. Well, I did this at like 3 in the morning.
You have a big day on the 20th, which is what, Tuesday, 17th, 18th.
Right. Anyway, I got my weeks mixed up. I did this at 4 in the morning, Dale. I was up all night to get this done for you. And so I go look at the charts there and see if that worked out. We're over here, and I thought we were, I was thinking weekend that we had this coming up. So never mind, I messed up. Okay.
Okay, well, Norm's not on Twitter. So I don't know if you want to show anything else, but this could be a good time for you to tell people how they could reach you.
Absolutely.
If they're interested, and that you have a free course that you teach that's introductory. If they have an interest in learning about the universe and the markets and how they relate to each other.
Because we're all part of the universe, right?
Yeah. We're all one.
That's it. We're all it. We're all all part of this. So all these cycles, we're all part of it. We're part of nature, and so that's why I believe the markets are responding to this stuff very well. I have I think I can show you.
I just have one question, and it was your last date of June 17th with the 55 times 55. It's an anniversary of the March 2009 low. Why is 55 times 55 significant?
Because that's a square number. That's how you square numbers.
Okay.
You know that, right?
Okay.
The game was keen on squaring numbers.
You got that, Martin? Okay. All right. Go ahead, Norm.
Just like 3 times 3 is 9. 9 is a square number.
Okay. So you're expecting a low in the stock market?
No, I'm expecting a change in trend over the weekend here.
Okay.
I don't know. I have to see what the market does today. If we rally today, then we've been
No,
looking
we're
for
down. We're down pretty good, Norm. We're down 10 S&P points. So
all right. Well, if we
be
get
looking for
down,
something.
maybe we'll have to see. We could be now. On occasion, these change in trend points turn out to be accelerations. We're kind of locked into a range now on the S&P. We'll go back and look at the S&P chart real quick. And there we go. There's the S&P. You're kind of locked into this range right now. You see, about yesterday we came down and retested the low of the month for June. It was right there, and we came within about $3 there of that. So we're kind of locked into this range here, there, and there. And so if we were to break that range, that would be a big deal. So that would also be a change in trends, a possibility.
Okay. Thank you, bud. So go ahead. Tell people about the course and how often you hold it. I know you don't do it all the time.
Nope, I just do it. It's individual class. I do it on Skype, one person at a time, and I kind of gear it toward your knowledge level and so forth. And so it's a 5-hour class, and you can get my letter for free. It's a monthly letter, and the free 5-hour class Going to teach you some Astro, Gann, Fibonacci, fractals. It's like a whole college course on trading, all jammed in about 5 hours. And then we follow up. We go tell you how to use the letter, and then you can go practice for a couple of days, and you have questions, and we try to be very thorough and get you a great education, and it's all free. And if they mention, and Dale, if they mention your name, they can get it for free with a money-back guarantee.
Okay. Mention my name. So Norm, I'm glad we were able to get this in, and I want to thank you for your time and sharing your stuff. Next time I'll try and work out a date where, you know, some of these things are happening ahead of time, but looks like you're having a good year this month. So congratulations. And I'm fascinated by your stuff, and, you know, I know there are skeptics out there as well, but it's very interesting. And if you want to learn a lot of the masters of this type of trading, they're leaving the planet, aren't they, Norm? There aren't as many. Is there a new generation to take up the mantle of what you're doing?
Well, I think it's kind of one of the downsides of all these computers and trading platforms is that, you know, these people get these platforms, and it's all what I call TV dinner, that they, you know, there's stuff, the Gann lines on there, whatever lines they put on there, and none of these people have any understanding of what it is they're looking at. They just see these lines on there, and they don't really know what it is. If you want to understand,
they don't care. They don't care as long as it makes them money. So that's a great point, is having an understanding of what you're using, if you can use it. So I want to thank you. Go ahead.
I'm just going to say I'm here in Florida, beautiful Florida, and you can call me. There's my phone number, 239-594-3939, or here's my email, nwinsky at embarkmail.com, embarkmail.com, or you can call me on Skype at norm.winski. So anyway, I'm taking registration now. I'm all booked up for June, but you can be the first in line for July if you call right away.
Okay, buddy.
Only do about 6 or 8 people a month, so call right away. And by the way, just let me just add one more thing, Dale. Okay, this stuff looks complicated on the surface, I know, because it's all, you know, if you're not used to it, you know, it looks like foreign. Are you still there? Something popped up.
Yeah.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Go ahead.
Awesome. You know, this stuff looks complicated because it's kind of foreign, but once you get over that, this stuff's really nothing that I'm doing is above a grade school level. You know, if you made it through grade school, you can do this. If it weren't that simple, I couldn't do it. So there you go.
Norm Winsky, thank you very much for your initial appearance on Face, and have a great weekend, buddy. Good luck, good hunting the rest of the month, and look forward to your return down the road.
Thank you very much for having me on, Dale. Looking forward to helping some of your folks.
Okay, buddy. Thank you, Norm.
How do I leave here?
You just you know, hey, I'll show my screen. I'll take you off, and I just want to show the screen before I go. We're getting a pop. King Dollar is being tested. I still think there's more left. I think that we're going to have a decent shorting opportunity early into next week in Euro. I want to thank the whole F8 team, my co-anchor Steve Volge, the master trader Blake Morrow, CEO of ForexAnalytix, Nicola Duke, the top talented harmonics person here, and she rounds off our rough edges of all the guys here, and Greg Horvat for his great work, and Stelios, and I want to thank you, Face, for hanging in there, paying attention, and it's our hope that we're adding value to what you're trying to accomplish as a trader. Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy your last weekend of spring. Summer's a coming, and we'll see everyone Monday. And remember, most of all, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Tell the people that you care about and love in your life. Verbalize it. They're not mind readers. Life is fragile. Let the people you know that you love them. I love you guys. Have a great weekend. See you Monday.